The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon candles filled my parents' living room. Easter always meant chaos, too many people, too many opinions, and not enough places to hide. I adjusted the gift bag on my lap, trying to keep the silver wrapping from creasing. Inside it sat the laptop I'd been saving for since November, a $2,000 art-grade powerhouse with a pen display Carla had been dreaming about. 13 years old today. My little girl. My reason for working overtime, skipping nights out, and learning what pressure sensitivity even meant. Carla was out in the backyard, sitting cross-legged on the grass, sketching the old oak tree with her pencil and a look of pure concentration. I could see her from the window, tongue slightly out, eyebrows scrunched in that serious artist face she had. "Still drawing trees," Dad said behind me, voice sharp like always. "Doesn't she get bored of that?" "She's practicing shading," I said evenly. "Doesn't seem like it'll pay the bills." I smiled tightly. Same old Dad. He hadn't approved of anything creative since I'd said I wanted to be a musician at 15. "She's just a kid," I murmured. Mom appeared holding a tray of deviled eggs. "George, help me set the table. Amanda and her kids are on their way. Oh, and please don't make a big deal about that gift. You always overdo things." "Sure, Mom," I said. I didn't mention that gift cost more than Amanda's entire grocery budget for a month. Right on cue, Amanda's minivan screeched into the driveway like a bat out of hell. Doors flew open. Out tumbled her 3 kids. No greetings, no hellos, just running, shouting, sticky fingers everywhere. "Uncle George," yelled the oldest, Ben, around 11, before darting inside and immediately spotting Carla's sketchbook on the couch. "Hey, careful with that," I started, but it was too late. He flipped it open, laughed, and called to his siblings. "Look, it's just boring trees." Carla came in seconds later, clutching her pencil. "Please don't touch that," she said softly. Ben grinned, and his sister took a crayon from the counter and scribbled all over Carla's drawing. Bright red lines across the gray graphite tree. Carla's lip trembled. She looked at me, eyes wide, pleading, then down at her ruined sketch. Amanda breezed in like she owned the place, sunglasses perched on her head. "Relax," she said, waving a manicured hand. "It's just paper. She can draw more." I felt something coil tight in my chest, but I smiled. "You're right," I said. "She can." "See, you're learning to lighten up," Amanda chuckled, heading to the wine. Dinner was chaos as usual, Dad complaining about taxes, Mom reminding me I never visit enough, Amanda bragging about her kids' creativity while they dropped food everywhere. Carla stayed quiet, picking at her plate. When dessert came out, I slipped the gift bag onto her chair. "Hey, kiddo," I said softly, "you forgot one present." She blinked, confused, then opened it. Her face froze for a second as she peeled back the paper. Then pure light. "Dad, oh my God," she threw her arms around me. "This is amazing." Her excitement was so real it made the whole table pause. Even Amanda looked impressed for half a second, until her son Ben snatched the box. "What's this?" "A computer," he said, already backing toward the patio door. "Ben, stop," I said sharply. But he grinned, wild energy in his eyes. "Let's see if it can fly." "Ben," Carla screamed. He ran outside, Amanda shouting, "Don't go too far." And before I could reach him, he was by the fire pit. Flames licking high, sparks popping in the night air. He held the laptop box up like a trophy. "Cannonball." "No." He threw it. The sound was like something breaking inside me, plastic hitting fire. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. Carla gasped, frozen in place, tears welling. I pulled it out with tongs, but it was already melting, warped beyond recognition. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Not nervous laughter, genuine amusement. Amanda's giggle, Mom's chuckle, even Dad's low snort. "Maybe that'll teach her not to be spoiled," Dad said. Amanda smirked. "It's just a computer, George. She doesn't need something that fancy. Maybe get her something practical next time. Carla stood silently, tears streaking her cheeks. She looked so small. I placed the melted laptop down on the table, slowly, calmly. Then I smiled. The entire room went quiet. Because everyone there knew that when I smiled like that, something was about to change forever. The house still smelled faintly of melted plastic the next morning. The air was heavy with something unspoken, guilt maybe, though nobody seemed willing to name it. Mom was at the sink humming softly as if nothing had happened. Amanda and her kids were at the breakfast table eating pancakes, chattering like last night hadn't ended with a $2,000 fire pit sacrifice. Carla sat in the corner, earbuds in but no music playing. I knew because I'd seen her pause the playlist half an hour ago. She was pretending not to hear the whispers. Amanda was telling Mom, honestly, George should thank Ben. Teaches her not to expect such expensive stuff. Mom chuckled. True, kids these days, everything screens and gadgets. I poured my coffee slowly, letting the sound of it drown out their words. Morning, I said finally. Amanda smiled, syrup glistening on her fork. Sleep well, or still mourning the laptop? I smiled back, that same quiet, measured smile that made her blink. Slept great, actually. Her smirk faltered for a moment, then she shrugged. Good, maybe next time you'll think before spoiling her. Carla flinched slightly, though she kept her eyes down. She was drawing again with a cheap pen on napkins. The lines were shaky, smudged. Her art tablet was gone and she was still creating anyway. My heart broke a little more. Hey, sweetheart, I said softly, crouching beside her. That's beautiful. She gave me a small, brave smile. It's not as good as before. It's better, I said, because you didn't give up. Amanda rolled her eyes. You're turning her into a softie. Let her toughen up. Life, not going to protect her from everything. I looked at her for a long time. No, I said, but parents are supposed to try. The table went silent. Even Mom stopped humming. Then Dad came in, newspaper under his arm, voice booming. What's everyone sulking about now? Amanda laughed, eager to break the tension. George is still upset about the laptop. Dad snorted. Good grief, you're acting like they burned your house down. That line hit harder than he realized, because to me, in a way, they had. They burned a piece of what made Carla light up, and they thought it was funny. Let it go, Mom added. It's just a thing, George. Family's more important. I took a slow sip of coffee, looking around the table. My sister, entitled and smug. My parents, dismissive as ever. My daughter, trying to disappear into napkin sketches. And I thought, maybe I've been mistaking blood for family all these years. Later, as we packed up to leave, Carla whispered, Dad, I don't want to come here again. I crouched beside her, zipping up her art bag. You won't have to, sweetheart, I promise. As we drove away, I glanced at her through the rearview mirror. She was quiet but calmer, resting her head against the window. I didn't know it yet, but that drive home would be the last time I'd ever let my family take something from me without consequences. It's strange how certain sounds stick with you, not the loud ones, but the quiet ones that carry weight. For me, it wasn't the sound of the laptop hitting the fire. It was the laughter after. Every time I closed my eyes that week, I heard it again. Amanda's shrill giggle, Dad's low chuckle, Mom saying, maybe that'll teach her not to be spoiled. I'd replayed it so often, it had started to lose its sound, like an echo wearing itself out. But the feeling, the humiliation, the helplessness in Carla's eyes, that never faded. At work, I went through motions on autopilot, meetings, deadlines, polite smiles. But my mind was elsewhere. On that moment, when I'd stood there holding a melted laptop, while my family treated my daughter's heartbreak like a sitcom blooper. I realized then it wasn't just about the laptop. It was about years of little fires they'd lit, and how I kept putting them out, smiling like it didn't hurt. Every insult disguised as advice. Every favor that turned into debt. Every time they made me feel like doing right by my kid was wrong. And I'd always forgiven them, always been the bigger person. But now I wasn't sure that was strength. Maybe it was cowardice. That Friday night, Carla was at her desk, trying to draw with an old school notebook and a dull pencil. I knocked softly on her door. "Hey, sweetheart, how's it going?" She looked up, smiling faintly. "Okay, I was just trying to remember the colors from my old drawings." Her voice cracked a little, like she was trying not to cry. I sat beside her. "You remember what I said that night?" She nodded, "That I didn't give up." "Right," I smiled. "You didn't, and neither will I." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" I ruffled her hair. "Just that I've been too nice for too long." She giggled. "You're already nice, Dad." "Yeah," I said quietly, "maybe too nice." That night after she fell asleep, I sat in the living room, lights off, just thinking. I thought about every time Amanda had called for help, rent, car trouble, emergencies. I thought about Mom telling me family sticks together, right before she handed my savings to someone else. And I thought about Dad, who never once said thank you, but had plenty of advice on how I should live. For years, I'd let them take pieces of me, money, time, peace, all because I thought that's what good sons and brothers did. But when they laughed at my daughter, they lit the last match. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I was just going to do what I did best, plan. Because revenge, I decided, shouldn't be loud. It should be quiet, patient, and thorough. Like a slow fire that no one sees coming, until there's nothing left but smoke. The next Sunday, Mom called like nothing had happened. "Dinner at our place again," she said brightly. "Amanda's bringing dessert. Don't make things awkward, okay? She feels bad enough." I almost laughed. Amanda feeling bad, that would be a first. But I went. Not because I wanted to, but because it's easier to study your enemies when they think you've forgiven them. Carla didn't want to go. She stood by the door, backpack slung over her shoulder, chin trembling. "Do I have to?" "You won't have to after today," I said gently, "but one last time for me." She sighed, nodded, brave little thing. When we arrived, Amanda's kids were already tearing through the living room again like caffeinated raccoons. My parents sat on the couch watching TV, plates of snacks in their laps. Amanda greeted us with her usual fake warmth. "There's my favorite brother. You look less grumpy this week." "Trying something new," I said. "Oh," she poured herself wine. "What's that?" "Smiling." She froze for half a second, then gave a nervous laugh. "Good. You were starting to act weird." At dinner, the conversation felt rehearsed. My parents kept glancing at each other, avoiding the subject. Amanda tried to fill the silence with stories about her kids, her job, her new budgeting goals. I just listened, nodding, smiling. I didn't raise my voice, didn't bring up the laptop, didn't even look angry. And that, more than yelling, made them uncomfortable. At one point, Dad cleared his throat. "You know, son, you've always had that temper. It's good you're learning to control it." "Oh, I'm not controlling it," I said softly. "I just realized anger's a waste of energy. Smiling works better." Amanda frowned. "You're being creepy." Mom snapped, "George, don't make everything dramatic." "Noted," I said, still smiling. The room went dead quiet again. Even Amanda's kids paused mid-argument to glance at me. That's when it hit me, for the first time in years, they didn't know what I was thinking, and that scared them. After dinner, while everyone moved to the living room, I walked into the kitchen for a glass of water. I could hear Amanda and Mom whispering. "He's acting strange," Amanda murmured. "Don't poke him," Mom said. "He'll calm down." I stood there, smiling at my reflection in the kitchen window. They thought this was anger. But it was. It was focus. That night I tucked Carla in and sat by her bedside. She was quiet for a while, then asked, "Dad, why did they laugh?" My throat tightened. Because some people don't know how to handle seeing others happy. They mistake kindness for weakness. "Are you mad at them?" I thought about it, then said, "No, I'm just done protecting them from themselves." She nodded, eyes half closed. "I'm glad you're my dad." Those words hit harder than any insult ever could. When she fell asleep, I opened my laptop and started typing, not for work, but for something new. A plan. I made a list of names, debts, dates, and favors. Then another list: accounts, responsibilities, leverage points. By midnight, the smile on my face wasn't forced anymore. Because now it had purpose. The next morning, sunlight poured into the kitchen, painting everything gold, too bright, too cheerful for how I felt inside. Mom and Amanda were already there, whispering over coffee like two high schoolers plotting gossip. I lingered in the hallway, half hidden, listening. "He's always been dramatic," Amanda muttered, "acting like we burned down his house or something." Mom chuckled. "He's too sensitive. I told him it was just a prank. He needs to let it go. It's not like he can't afford another laptop." "I know, right? You'd think he lost a child," Amanda said, rolling her eyes. "It was a joke. Carla's spoiled anyway. Maybe this'll teach her not to expect luxury gifts." Mom laughed, that soft, condescending sound she used when she wanted to feel better about being cruel. "She's his weakness. Always has been. He'll calm down eventually. He always does." Something in me snapped, but quietly. No yelling, no outburst, just a slow, precise kind of breaking. I stepped into the kitchen, mourning. Mom nearly dropped her mug. "George, you scared me." Amanda smirked. "How long were you standing there?" "Long enough," I said. "You two having fun?" "Just talking," Mom said quickly. "We didn't mean anything by it." "Of course not," I said with a polite smile. "You never do." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Oh, come on, George, don't be so serious. It was just a prank." "Yeah," I said quietly. "You keep calling it that, a prank." She hesitated, then laughed awkwardly. "Well, yeah, it's not like anyone got hurt." I leaned on the counter, voice calm. "You watched your nephew throw a $2,000 laptop into fire while my daughter cried. Then you laughed. I'd say someone got hurt." Mom sighed. "You can't hold on to this forever. You've always had a hard time forgiving people." I stared at her, this woman who'd told me for years to be the bigger person, even when it meant swallowing pain so everyone else could stay comfortable. "You're right," I said softly. "I'm done holding on to things. I'm letting go." Amanda looked relieved. "Good, finally." I smiled, "Just not in the way you think." Mom frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I just finished my coffee, rinsed the cup, and walked out. As I passed through the living room, I saw Carla sitting quietly on the couch, drawing with her new cheap pencils. She looked up at me and smiled shyly. I smiled back, and for the first time I didn't feel powerless. That was the moment I decided. I wasn't going to yell, beg, or argue. I was going to change the rules. For years, they'd laughed at me because I kept cleaning up their messes. From now on, they'd have to live in them. It only took a month. 30 days of silence, and Mom broke first. I was at work, reviewing supplier reports when my phone buzzed. "Mom" flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "George," she started, in that tone she saved for when she wanted something, "your sister in a tough spot." I leaned back in my chair. "Which sister?" A pause. "Don't be smart." "Amanda, of course. Her landlord's being unreasonable. She's behind on rent again, and she's got the kids to think about. She said you'd probably help." I pinched the bridge of my nose, suppressing a bitter laugh. "Of course she did." "Mom," I said, keeping my voice calm, "Amanda's 37 years old. Maybe it's time she learns about consequences." That's cruel, Mom snapped. You can't hold on to that laptop thing forever. I'm not, I said. I'm holding on to respect. Well, she's family, Mom said. You can't just turn your back on family. I smiled to myself. Funny, that's what I thought right before family laughed while my kid cried. She huffed, you're being dramatic. Then I guess we're even, I said and hung up. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty after saying no. It was freeing, like exhaling after years of holding my breath. But freedom didn't last long. A week later, I logged into my joint emergency fund account, the one Mom insisted we keep for family crises. The balance was wrong. Nearly $1,800 gone. A transfer to Amanda's name. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. They'd actually done it. No phone call, no permission, just took it. I called Mom. She picked up on the second ring, too cheerful. Hi, sweetheart, how's my favorite son? Why did $2,000 disappear from the account? I asked flatly. Oh, that, she said, pretending not to hear the ice in my tone. Amanda was about to get evicted. I told her to take what she needed. You've always been generous. That wasn't your money to give. Well, she said softly, it's not just your money either. It's a family fund. Correction, I said, it was. I hung up, logged back in, and closed the account permanently. Every cent left went straight into my personal savings. Then I opened a new spreadsheet, labeled debts and favors, and began listing everything I'd done for them over the years. Amanda's unpaid car loan, $4,000. Dad's temporary business loan, $6,800. Mom's emergency credit card payoff, $1,200. The list went on. When I totaled it up, I stared at the number for a long time. $18,562. That was how much family loyalty had cost me. And it hit me, I wasn't the black sheep. I was the shepherd they'd been milking dry. That night I sat on the porch while Carla drew beside me. The streetlights cast soft halos around her face. What you working on? I asked. A phoenix, she said, not looking up. Something that burns then comes back stronger. I smiled, good choice. She glanced up, grinning, kind of like us, right? Exactly like us, I said. And as she went back to drawing, I decided something once and for all. I wouldn't just walk away from my family. I'd teach them what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. The fire they started. It was about to spread. It's amazing how quiet revenge can be when you've stopped caring what anyone thinks. The next morning, I sat at my desk with my coffee and that spreadsheet open. Each number represented a moment I'd let myself be taken advantage of. Every time I'd said it's okay when it was. It wasn't just money. It was time, trust, energy, $18,000, and a lifetime of being the family's safety net. Not anymore. First, I removed Amanda as my emergency contact everywhere. HR forms, insurance, even my daughter's school. Then I updated my will. Everything, my savings, the house, the life insurance, would go to Carla, no one else. It felt good. Liberating, even. Like taking off a weight I'd been carrying so long I forgot it was there. The next step was practical. I opened a new savings account, private, secured, linked to no one but me. I transferred the last of my shared funds there, leaving the old one at zero. And for the first time in years, my money was exactly where it belonged, safe. That same afternoon, I called my bank to block Mom's access. The woman on the line hesitated. Sir, this will revoke all shared permissions for the secondary account holder. Are you sure? I smiled faintly. I've never been more sure. When the confirmation email came through, I exhaled. The quiet kind of relief you get when you finally realize the storm has passed and you survived it. 2 weeks later, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Then Amanda called twice. Then Dad. When I finally picked up, Mom's voice was sharp. Why would you close the account? Amanda needed help with school supplies for the kids. I'm not responsible for Amanda's poor planning, I said calmly. George, you're being ridiculous. You've always helped family. And where has that gotten me, Mom? I interrupted. A burned laptop, a crying daughter, and a family that laughs about it. Don't be petty, she said. I almost laughed. Petty would have been replacing the laptop and pretending everything was fine. This is self-respect. She went silent for a long moment before snapping, fine, but don't expect help when you need it. I won't, I said and hung up. Over the next few weeks, the silence from my family grew louder, replaced by passive-aggressive Facebook posts and the occasional guilt-tripping text. But while they fumed, I was busy building. I started freelancing on the side, small projects that paid well. My savings grew fast now that I wasn't bailing anyone out. I upgraded Carla's art supplies, got her digital lessons, even framed some of her best sketches on the living room wall. One evening, she looked up from her tablet and said, "You're smiling more lately." I chuckled. Yeah, guess I had to let a few things go. Like Grandma, she asked innocently. I grinned, something like that. Then she went back to drawing, and I realized something important. Revenge didn't always have to be loud or messy. Sometimes it could look like peace. And sometimes peace was the scariest punishment of all. Peace is quiet, and at first that quiet feels strange. The mornings were different now. No frantic calls from Mom, no surprise texts from Amanda asking for a small favor. Just breakfast with Carla, her hair tied up, sketching while eating cereal. She was happy again. I'd found her a new art mentor online, a local artist who took her on as a student. Carla was thriving. Her drawings had depth now, emotion. I could see her heart in every line. One evening, as she proudly showed me her latest digital piece, a phoenix rising from ashes, I felt a pang of something. Not sadness. Not guilt. Something like closure. My savings account had doubled since I shut everyone out. No emergencies, no guilt payments, no family obligations. It was funny, when I stopped pouring myself into them, my own life started blooming. Still, I wasn't naive. I knew it wouldn't stay quiet forever. Amanda resurfaced online first. Photos of her kids with new iPads, matching sneakers, and the caption. Some people turn their backs on family, but blessings always find those with good hearts. I almost laughed. She was bold enough to steal from me and post this nonsense. A week later, I found the receipts, her online orders. Same time frame as the $1,800 she borrowed. I didn't explode. I just screenshotted everything, quietly building my little collection of truth. Then I noticed something else. My dad's company, the one I'd helped land multiple contracts for through my job, was late on supplier payments again. My signature was on their renewal files. When the quarterly review came, my department asked for my recommendation. I didn't lie. They've missed 3 payments in a year. It's not sustainable, I said simply. We'll need them on prepaid terms. No drama, no revenge speech, just policy. The next week, Dad called, voice booming through the phone. Did you tell them to put us on prepaid? We can't afford that. Then maybe you should have thought about that, I said softly, before you laughed while my daughter cried and took money that wasn't yours. The silence on the line stretched long, then he muttered, "You're vindictive." No, Dad, I said. I'm just done paying for people who burn what I build. I hung up. Carla walked in just then with a small canvas in her hand, a watercolor this time. It showed a man walking away from a burning house, holding a little girl's hand. The flames were behind them, but the sky ahead was clear and golden. "I call it starting over," she said shyly. I stared at it for a long moment. "It's perfect," I whispered. And it was. Because while my family's world was quietly cracking, Carla and I were finally stepping into something new. A clean slate. A peaceful home. A life not built on guilt, but on purpose. Karma doesn't send an invitation. It just shows up right on time. A few months passed in peace. Carla was thriving in her art program. Her mentor even helped her submit a piece to a local digital art contest. Meanwhile, my finances had never looked better. I'd finally started investing, saving for Carla's future, not for Amanda's next crisis. Then one afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end, panicked, familiar. "George, it's Amanda." I almost didn't recognize her. She sounded tired, strained. "What do you need?" I asked flatly. "It's Dad's business," she said. "They're cutting us off. The suppliers, the clients, everything's drying up. We can't make payroll next week." "That's rough," I said, sipping my coffee. "Maybe you should ask Mom for help." "Mom doesn't have it. You know she lives on her pension," she snapped. "Then quieter. You have the money, George. You always do." I laughed softly. "Not for you, Amanda, not anymore." There was silence. Then her voice cracked. "You're really going to let Dad's company go under?" I leaned back. "Amanda, Dad laughed while your kid threw a $2,000 laptop into a fire and called my daughter spoiled. You all thought it was funny." "It was a joke," she cried. "No," I said coldly. "It was a warning and you ignored it." She hung up. 2 days later, Dad called. His tone was desperate this time. "George, the bank froze our line of credit. We can't operate without it. You have contacts there. Can you help us?" I paused. "I could," I said slowly, "but I won't." He was silent, then his voice trembled. "I'm your father. And I was your son when you laughed while my daughter cried." I ended the call. That night I saw Amanda post again. A photo of her kids at the park, smiling, captioned, "Even when the world turns on you, family is all you need." I almost pitied her, almost. Then karma added her final touch. 2 weeks later, my boss stopped by my office. "George, we're restructuring some of our supplier accounts. One of them is your father's business." I nodded calmly, understood. He hesitated. "We'd like your input on whether to renew their contract." I looked him in the eye. "They've defaulted multiple times, caused supply chain issues, and lack transparency. Termination is the responsible choice." He nodded, noted. When I left the office that day, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, just peace. Later that week, Mom called crying. "They're losing everything, George, the house, the business. Your sister's falling apart." "I hope this time," I said softly, "they finally learn what responsibility feels like." That night, Carla and I watched a movie together. Halfway through, she looked up and asked, "Do you ever miss them?" I thought for a long moment. "Sometimes," I said. "But then I remember missing someone doesn't mean you owe them your peace." She nodded slowly, as if she understood more than her age allowed. Then she leaned against me and whispered, "I like our life now." I smiled, kissing her forehead. "Me too, sweetheart, me too." Outside, the wind howled softly, not a storm, just a reminder of everything that had finally passed. A knock at the door woke me from my late-night work session. I wasn't expecting anyone, not Amanda, not Mom, not Dad. Carla peeked around the corner. "Who is it?" I shrugged. "Let's see." When I opened the door, my mom was standing there, shoulders hunched, face pale. Amanda trailed behind her, eyes red, makeup smudged, hair messy, a shadow of the confident woman who once laughed while my daughter cried. "George," Mom began, voice trembling. "Hello, Mom," I said calmly. She swallowed. We should have defended Carla. We should have never laughed. Never. Her voice broke. I nodded slowly. I know. Amanda stepped forward, trembling. You ruined me. You ruined our lives. I studied her, the smugness gone, the confidence stripped away. She looked small, vulnerable. You ruined yourself, I said evenly. I just stopped cleaning up after you. She shook her head. You don't understand. I didn't mean it. No, I said, you did. You threw my daughter's happiness into a fire. You stole money. You mocked me. You meant it. Tears streamed down her face. I just wanted things to be easy. We've been struggling. I took a deep breath. And that's why I stopped bailing you out. Life isn't easy, and no one's entitled to someone else's kindness forever. Mom sobbed. We were wrong. We were cruel. I'm so sorry, George. I said nothing. I didn't need to. My silence said everything. Then I turned to Carla, who had quietly stepped beside me. She looked at Amanda and Mom, her small shoulders square, her chin lifted. Sorry doesn't fix what you did, she said softly, yet with the authority only a child who's been wronged can command. Amanda flinched. Mom bowed her head. I guided Carla back inside. Thank you for being brave, sweetheart, I whispered. That night, for the first time in years, I slept without tension in my shoulders. I hadn't yelled, I hadn't schemed or fought, I had simply stopped being their doormat. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well. It's thriving. It's peace. Amanda didn't show up for a week. I didn't call, I didn't care. Then the news reached me through small channels, friends, coworkers, social media. Her perfect life was unraveling. The expensive tablets she flaunted online, sold to cover overdue bills. The house she bragged about, sold below market value after foreclosure. Her marriage, shaken. Every argument over money had suddenly become real, unavoidable. I didn't gloat, that wasn't necessary. Karma had its own timing. One afternoon, Amanda called my office, her voice thin, brittle. George, we don't know what to do. I leaned back in my chair, calm, collected. Then maybe it's time to figure it out yourself. Please, she begged. Everything's falling apart. Can't you help us, just this once? I closed my laptop gently. No, Amanda, I already helped enough. You'll have to live with the choices you made. That was it. Nothing dramatic, nothing vindictive, just reality. Her husband found the screenshots I'd sent, proof of stolen money and lavish purchases while they claimed financial hardship. That relationship teetered, trust shattered. Every call, every plea, every attempt to manipulate me, all met with the same calm answer, no. Meanwhile, Carla thrived. Her art continued to flourish. Her confidence grew. Every award she won, every smile she shared, was a quiet counterpoint to the chaos Amanda created for herself. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking, this is better than any punishment I could have imagined. And at night, I'd watch her draw by the window, golden light spilling over her desk, and realize something profound. The true cost of their cruelty was never mine. It was theirs. Amanda's collapse wasn't a spectacle for me. It was proof that living your life on other people's kindness is a dangerous gamble. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly free. One quiet Sunday morning, Carla ran into the living room, a large sketchpad clutched in her hands. Dad, look what I finished, she exclaimed. I set down my coffee and leaned forward. The drawing was breathtaking. A massive tree, roots deep and twisted, branches wide and strong, standing tall after a storm. At the bottom, two small figures, a girl and a man, smiled at each other. Sunlight broke through the clouds behind them. It's us, she said softly. We made it through everything together. I felt a lump in my throat. I pulled her into a hug. It's perfect, Carla, just like us. I want it on the wall, she said, where the laptop used to be. I smiled, done. That afternoon, we framed it and hung it in the living room. The melted laptop, the ruined sketches, the family chaos, it was all behind us now. Every time I looked at the drawing, I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not revenge in its typical form, no shouting, no confrontation, just the triumph of survival, resilience, and love. Carla ran to me, brushing past the sunlight streaming through the window. "We're going to make more drawings like this," she said. "Every year." "Yes, we are," I said, smiling genuinely for the first time in months. In that moment, I realized that our life wasn't about what my family had taken. It was about what we had built, our bond, our strength, and our peace. After the drawing was hung, life settled into a new rhythm, quiet, controlled, and for the first time, entirely ours. I started setting boundaries, not with anger but with calm precision. No more calls from Mom begging for money. No more texts from Amanda about emergencies. No more surprise visits from anyone who didn't respect our peace. Mom called once, her voice tight. "George, don't you think you're being harsh?" "I think I'm being responsible," I said evenly. "I can't protect people from themselves forever, especially when they hurt my daughter." Amanda tried 3 separate voicemails, pleading, whining, even promising to change. I didn't answer. Not because I wanted revenge. Because peace doesn't need an explanation. Because boundaries don't require justification. At work, I concentrated fully on growing my savings, my side projects, my influence. Carla's art flourished with her new equipment, and we spent evenings together planning her digital portfolio. The house felt different now, lighter, every corner free of the tension and chaos that once haunted it. One night, as Carla finished a new sketch, she looked up at me. "Dad, do you think they'll ever come back?" I smiled, calm and steady. "Maybe, but we won't need them. We're okay on our own." Her small hand found mine. "I'm glad it's just us." And that's when I realized something important. Silence could be louder than words. Boundaries stronger than lectures. And love more powerful than chaos. For the first time, I truly felt like a father, not a buffer. And Carla felt safe, not just from the world, but from the family that had once laughed at her tears. Weeks passed in peace. Carla thrived. My savings grew. Our home was filled with laughter and creativity again. Then Amanda made the mistake of showing off online. Pictures of her kids with brand new tablets, fancy shoes, even trips she couldn't afford, all posted with captions about family hardships and turning their backs on loved ones. I didn't react immediately. I didn't need to. I just documented screenshots, dates, receipts, evidence. A week later, I sent a quiet, targeted reminder. Amanda's husband received an anonymous email. "Look at the purchases while your family struggles. Cross-reference with missing funds. Thought you should know." No anger, no confrontation, just truth. Within days, cracks appeared. Conversations in the house turned tense. Trust eroded. Amanda lashed out at her husband. He questioned every purchase, every lie. I didn't post anything publicly. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke louder than any accusation I could make. Then Dad called, furious. "George, did you do something? Amanda and I are dealing with a disaster. Contracts, accounts, everything." "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "Just let them live with the consequences." He slammed the phone down. Meanwhile, Mom called, tearful. "George, we underestimated you. We made a mistake." I stayed silent. No yelling, no screaming, no fight. Just quiet observation. It was satisfying in a way I hadn't expected, watching the truth unfold on its own, like dominoes falling one by one. And all the while, Carla and I continued our lives, safe, happy, and completely unaffected by the chaos. It was subtle, silent revenge. The kind that leaves no scars on the avenger, only on those who deserved it. Months passed. Carla's art was now featured in a local gallery. She beamed at every showing, proud and confident. Her digital portfolio had started attracting clients and even commissions from local businesses. I watched her grow, feeling a quiet pride that had nothing to do with control or money, just love and guidance. The house was filled with sunlight, laughter, and creativity. No chaos, no calls for money, no lectures disguised as family advice. Just peace. Mom eventually called one last time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, George. We should have defended Carla. We were wrong. I smiled softly. It's okay, Mom. I hope you've learned something. Amanda never called again. Her life, once full of entitlement and brash confidence, had quietly unraveled. I didn't gloat. That was her lesson. One evening, Carla brought me her latest drawing. A massive tree, stronger than the one before. The storm clouds had passed entirely. Two figures stood at the base, smiling, but this time, more children ran around the tree, playing safely, laughter echoing in the sunlight. Look, Dad, she said, eyes shining. It's us, happy and free. I held her close. Yes, sweetheart, we're free. I realized then that the burned laptop, the stolen money, the laughter at my daughter's tears, all of it had been a lesson. Not just for them, but for me. A lesson about boundaries, self-respect, and protecting those I loved most. We had built something stronger than chaos or family entitlement. A life defined by love, resilience, and peace. And for the first time in a long time, I felt it in every corner of my life. The storm was over. The fire had passed. And we were finally safe, together, thriving and at peace. Carla smiled up at me. Do you think they'll ever understand? I chuckled softly. Maybe, but it doesn't matter, we already do. I hung her latest masterpiece on the wall, right next to the others, letting sunlight illuminate every line, every color, every triumph. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't drama or confrontation. It's life well lived. And we had it in full. The end.